there's this painting technique that's taken over really all over the world. And we have a couple local artists that do it as well. And what they do is they paint this painting usually really quickly. And when they're doing it, you're kind of wondering, what in the world are they painting? And really, when they're done, you still wonder, is you really an artist? That just looks like a lot of scribble. Then in the last moment, they take their painting and they turn it right side up. And it all makes sense. Turn to Acts chapter 17 this morning, and we'll find that Paul is accused of preaching a message that turns the world upside down. In reality, I think what we find is that this is the work of Jesus. And it doesn't turn the world upside down, but turns it back right side up again. Acts chapter 17, verse 1. Now, when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jews. And Paul went in, as was his custom, and on 3 Sabbath days he reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and proving that it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead, and saying, "This Jesus, whom I proclaim to you, is the Christ." And some of them were persuaded, and they joined Paul and Silas, as did many of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women. But the Jews were jealous, and taking some wicked men of rabble, they formed a mob, and set the city into an uproar, and they attacked the house of Jason, seeking to bring them out to the crowd. When they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brothers before the city authorities, shouting, "These men, who have turned the world upside down, have come here also, and Jason has received them. And they are all acting against the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, Jesus." And the people and the city authorities were disturbed when they heard these things. When they had taken money as a security from Jason and the rest, they let them go. So Paul and Silas and their group come into Thessalonica, and they preach the same message they have been preaching. They get 3 weeks in the synagogue, and it only takes 3 weeks for some to start to believe in this message. But it also only takes 3 weeks for this message to start to make an impact on the city. And for those who don't accept Christ, they see that this is a challenge to their lives. It's turning their world upside down, and they're not okay with what's going on there in Thessalonica. And so this mob is formed in the streets to try to end this. It's accusations. The world is being turned upside down. Well, it's partly true. Second one is that they are proclaiming a different Caesar, a different king. And that's also partly true. First, is the world really being turned upside down? Well, the truth is the world was already upside down. Back all the way at Adam and Eve in the garden, what we find with the fall of man, we turned the world upside down. We made it as it wasn't intended to be. So when Jesus comes and when he dies on the cross and raises from the grave and provides forgiveness to us and new life for us, he is turning the world back right side up again. Next, is there another king? Well, the truth is Jesus has always been the king. God has always been the one in charge in this world. The question is whether he's going to be our king or not. The term Paul used here as he preached in Thessalonica was Christ. Christ meant anointed one who had oil poured over their head. And so for the Jewish people, that would be a priest or a king. For the Romans, that would most assuredly be Caesar, their king, the one who'd been anointed with oil. And so there is a conflict, there is a clash going on here. You see, Caesar not only would have claimed to be king, but he also claimed to be deity. He wanted incense, worship offered to him. And so Jesus is standing opposed to Caesar in this regard. He is saying, no, there is another king. There is one who truly does deserve your worship. Not because he is a man who wants to be worshipped as a god, but he was a God who became a man, fully God and fully man, and lived on this earth and deserves our worship and adoration. And so we might not have this choice to make between whether we let Caesar be the master of our lives or Jesus be the master of our lives. But it is election time, isn't it? I'm recording this before the election that took place yesterday. But in the last few weeks, it seems that we might have let political parties take priority over our Savior. And it's not just in politics that we do it, is it, though? In our jobs, in our hobbies, in our children's activities, do we let other things take priority over Jesus? You see, the choice they had to make is the same choice we have to make. Do we truly let Jesus be Christ? Do we let him be the anointed one? Do we let him take the role of king in our lives or not? And the world sees that. When they see us living our lives for him, it's going to look like we're upside down. Or we're going to look like that painting that doesn't make sense. But if they can catch a glimpse of it turned right side up again, it's going to be irresistible to them.